So welcome to 52 Hours Happy Hour. Got my Topo Chico here. I'm Elizabeth Clinton, and I have been doing card readings and readings in general for 32 years. I came to the cards, probably in the last 20 years, and I have been studying the cards ever since then. I've done tarot readings. I've done a lot of different things, but the reason why I say I've been studying the cards, and I have been studying them for about 32 years, or 20 years, excuse me. I've been doing this for 32 years, is because there is so much information. This has been all around for a long time. And when I had my first 52 Helpers card reading, it's playing cards, right? A woman that I met asked if I wanted to trade. I'm a hypnotherapist, alchemical hypnotherapist, and I do readings. And I thought, this would be kind of fun. I had heard about these playing card readings. I thought, okay, I'll trade, because I didn't trade often. And so we did trade. She came to my no, I went to her house, which was kind of odd for me. Usually I do this in my office. The whole thing was just weird. Anyway, it was so inaccurate. It was so off base. It was everything she said. I'm like, this is no, and I'm polite, but I let her talk. And I'm just like, at the end, I said, I appreciate your time. I appreciate the effort that you put into this, but this is just so not me. And she said, well, you're February 11th, right? And I said, no, I'm February 12th. And the difference that it made, just that one day, the difference that it made was crazy. So she told me about the book that she was reading from, and it's called Sacred Symbols of the Ancients. And that's what we use as our textbook. You can probably find it online because the copyright is over. It's an old book, but I believe truth is timeless. So I don't go in so much for the new stuff. I go more for the foundation, the grounding when it comes to information and wisdom. So I read, she didn't have any more time. She had a baby and she had to get the babysitter, whatever. So she's like, well, here's she took a copy of the page from the book for me for February 12th. And I read it and I was like, oh, this is accurate. This is very accurate. This is me. And so it was so interesting because it wasn't really even, any nuance that made it accurate. It wasn't her nuance. It wasn't anything. It was just like, okay, this is really good information. So I thought, okay, now here I go. I'm a rabbit hole person. If I want to learn something, I go PhD for it. I go all in. So I started studying the cards. And like I said, when I read Sacred Symbols, it was so spot on. And what I discovered is that from the cards, I was able to see, and I'm able to do this for my clients, and then my students are able to do this for their clients. You can see, the keys to financial abundance are, and how to realize them, how to become more prosperous, why relationships might fail, how to have healthier relationships. It goes on and on, the information. And if you think about it, if for me, I want to enhance my relationship with myself and with the world. And that's how most of my clients, most of my students feel. And so what the science of the cards does is it allows this ancient wisdom into our everyday life. And this secret has been hidden in plain sight in a deck of playing cards. And that's the best place to hide a secret, right? We all saw, what was that? Men in Black, right? The best place to hide a secret is in plain sight. So if you just think about what the cards represent, there are 52 weeks in a year. There's 52 playing cards in a deck. There are 4 seasons to a year. There are 4 suits in a deck, right? Hearts, clubs, diamonds, spades. There are 13 new moons in a year. There are 13 cards in each suit from ace to king. If you take all of the numbers of the cards from ace to king, assigning a number, so the king would be 13, queen would be 12, right? Jack 11. You add all those numbers up, they equal 364. You add the joker, which is one quarter for each suit and a quarter for himself. That's 365 and a quarter. That's the number of days in a year. So this is where the cards are a mathematical construct. The other thing that I'll just say, and I'll bounce around a little bit, but in modern vernacular, we say, oh, you've got that in spades, or, to the nines, right? Oh yeah, we got that to the nines. Or someone is an ace fighter pilot, or you're going to ace it, crazy eights. And I'll tell you something about crazy eights. People who have the number 8 as a card are not crazy, but they are so stubborn they make us crazy. I was like, this is what crazy eights really means. We talk about seventh heaven. Seven's a very spiritual number. The 7 cards, anyone who's born a 7 is quite spiritual. They weren't born a 7 because they just want to, la through life. What else do we say in modern vernacular? They hold their card close to their vest, right? 3 is a crowd. Well, when it comes to cards, the truth is that the 3 of hearts is, if someone wants to know, is someone maybe not being faithful? If a 3 of hearts shows up 10 times out of 10, they're not. So yeah, 3 is a crowd. So what we do with the 52 helpers is we utilize the playing cards that are unique to you. And that way you can understand not only who you are, but why you're here and how you can best serve. Because I think the people who are drawn to this type of work, that's what we want. We want to serve. So what I'm going to do tonight is discuss the basics of how to understand this very accurate, very incredible system, and hopefully provide you with some insight. So with that said, thus far, do we have any questions, any comments? We're all tracking here. We got it? Good on me. All right. So what do we mean by the 52 helpers? So the 52 helpers is the name that I gave, and I got it from a guy who was a magician. I heard him being interviewed, and he called his act the 52 helpers because he did card tricks. And I thought, that's so cute. That's what the cards are helpers. Each one is a helper. So I took that from him. I thought it was brilliant. That's not my own brilliance. But what I mean by the 52 helpers is that the ordinary deck of playing cards is none other than the ancient book of life. It's been hidden, like we said, in plain sight, which is the best place to hide anything. It's a book without a binding. It's a book of numbers. It's a book of symbols, and they represent a mathical model of life on earth. All right. In the Bible, they refer to it, that they say in the book of Revelations, the angel handed me the little book of 52. And back then, books were not bound, right? That was a book. In the Middle Ages, playing cards were, the church said that playing cards were the devil's picture book, right? But really, it's really just, the book of life. It's the same book of life that's referenced in the Bible. So when I read from the playing cards, how it's different from tarot cards, and I read tarot cards. I did the Crowley deck for years before I picked up playing cards, and I still, like the Crowley deck every now and again, but I go to the playing cards first and foremost now. The difference is that a tarot reading is, somewhat based on divination, right? You shuffle the cards, you pull cards, and a lot of times a tarot reading will be based on, some future thing that someone wants to know about. I don't predict the future when I do a card session with people. The people that I've trained do not predict futures when they do it. But what we do is tell you the highest essence of who you are and what pattern you're playing out based on the cards that you are playing at that point in time. So what happens is, right, I talked about, adding up the cards 52 weeks in a year. I talked about all that. So an ordinary deck of playing cards shows us the mathematical matrix that we live in on this planet. So when we find our place in this mathematical matrix, we find the coordinates basically of our life. We find out, what's our purpose, and we can find out what our strengths are, what our weaknesses are. And this is what I offer people to learn when they take 52 helpers classes. We're not doing shuffling and pulling of cards. That's not how we do this. The cards that you have don't change. You have 13 basic cards that you work with throughout your life. So we find out what they are, and then what we get to do, right? We're always in choice. We get to determine how we want to play them. So in class, we learn, right? We learn what your cards are and what they mean. Now, I'm going to go through a couple things and then we can get into some specifics. For those of you who have seen me, I'm on Facebook or on Instagram. I have 52 helpers page on both of those. And every day I post the card of the day. And where those cards come from, that's the energy that's in play, right? In the matrix, in the field for that day. So every single day of the year is mathematically connected to a card. Each card has a numeric value associated with it. So all of the cards have a number value from 1 to 52. So every day of the year adds up to a number value, and we're going to learn how to do that, how to figure that out. So when we put that number into this mathematical formula that you'll learn, it generates a number that's associated with one of the cards. And that card is the main energy at play that day. So the person born on that day has that card, that's their birth card for life. But that day, the rest of us get to play that energy. So someone born on that day is in that energy for life. It underlies all their other, all the other cards of their day, of the month, of their life. So that's the card of the day, and we all get to play it. And different cards are, good for different things. I made sure that when I married my husband, we got married on a 2 of Hearts day, because that is, the birth card of our marriage. And I mean, 2 of Hearts, I think you don't need to take a class to learn what that means. But then we have personality cards, and our personality card is determined by which planetary influence is present that day. And again, we learned how to do this. So the mathematics of all this ancient knowledge overlaps with astrology as well. So the astrological influence is what indicates the additional personality card that's in the field each day. It's the energy that overlays on top of the primary energy in the field each day. Or I say our birth card is like a shining light, and the personality card is like a filter, a gossamer that we can put over that. So in addition to planetary cards of the day that are in play for everyone, right? We also have our personal cards. So separately from the planetary cards, there are also cards that are unique to you. And you'll learn about each of these in the class, and I'll talk about these a little more later. I just want to give you a nice overview. So think about it. So everyone born on the same day has the same card to play for life. So how can that be, right? It's like, come on, that's like, and I thought that too. Yes, everyone born on that day has the same identical 13 cards for life, but it's how we play them. That's entirely up to us. I have a client who has twins, and these twins, so of course they have the same birth card, and they're playing the same cards. And one of them is almost failing out of school, and the other is a straight A student on a full scholarship, right? Because it's what, do we want to play the high side of the card? Do we want to play the low side of the card? Each card has 2 binary opposite energies and a lot of shades of gray in between. So whichever energy of the card you choose to activate within your own free will, right? That's the kind of life that you create for yourself. You can't change the cards, right? But you can play your cards so that they work for you. And you can choose how you play your cards. And I have noticed this for people. It's so feels so good when people realize what their cards are and how to play them, and to just watch people soar, because now it's like, oh, this makes sense. And they know that this is like the energy that's kind of got their back and is supporting them, and it's going to be that much easier for them. Conversely, they know which cards are going to be a little more of a challenge for them. And again, we'll get into that. But your 13 cards that you have for your whole life do not change. Okay, and I'll talk about those. They're based on the planets, but every year on our birthday we have a new set of 13 cards just for that year. So we have our basic 13, and then every year, because we move around on the matrix, I can even show you that. I've got it right here. There it is. this is how I do every single reading. This is the only thing I need. And so we move around where we are on that. And so the cards that we play every year are shift and are different. But I get ahead of myself. So when we know how to play our cards right, we know that this year I'm going to have specific challenges and specific opportunities based on what's presented, what cards are presented this period in my life this year. And it's a game changer to get clear on what those cards are, right? So that we can play our cards right. Again, some more vernacular, right? So that's the cards themselves. Now, a lot of times people ask me, where do the cards come from? How old are they? Oh, these came from tarot cards. Oh, no, sweetheart. I think they might even predate tarot cards. If you look in Wikipedia, it says that the playing cards date back to ancient Egypt and China. But from what I've learned and the research that I've done, and from talking to other people who study this, I would say that the cards have been around for as long as we've had recorded history. So in other words, as soon as we have any recorded history, the cards are present in the historical records. So, it would stand to reason that they're older than any written history that we have. And that would place them, they say that would place them to like 3000 BC. So that makes them significantly older, right, than the Bible. There's been very little written about the meaning of the cards, very little. And in fact, they were kept secret deliberately. And they were passed down only as an oral tradition in a secret society that's called the Order of the Magi. And if you're familiar with the story of Jesus's birth in the Bible, then you know that he was visited by the Magi, the three Magi, or the three wise men. And so that is the order that kept the cards, and again, only oral, and only passed down. It didn't come out for a very long time. But the oldest manuscript that we have about the real meaning of these cards explains that the cards originate from Atlantis, as in the lost continent of Atlantis. So that's what I have heard. That's what I'm believing. And whatever you want to believe is fine. But in any event, they are very accurate. And the Order of the Magi, you'll see on the card, the Ace of Spades, it always looks very special. It looks different than the rest of the cards. And that is actually the symbol for the Order of the Magi. I know now in card playing now, the card manufacturers use that as the card where they put their name and their whole thing. But it's always very fancy. And if you think about that Ace of Spades, if you turn it sideways, it looks like an old-fashioned key. And they say that it looks like an old-fashioned key. They did that on purpose because it holds the key to esoteric secrets. And that's actually one of the things that the Ace of Spades does. So these symbols, we want to remember that these ancient symbols represent a mathematical matrix, and that's we live in that, right? And it's that quantum field of energy. So yes, these 52 symbols are printed on cardstock paper, and but that doesn't really matter to what they really are. So the cards aren't really cards at all. In fact, a deck of playing cards is really the ancient book of life. It's an ancient book, and that has no binding. And the first way that the ancient book would have been recorded was in stone or clay tablets or even ivory tablets. They found them. This ancient mathematical knowledge was inscribed in rock and read from tablets way before it was placed on cardstock. So the accuracy is pretty amazing. We don't need to know a year. We don't need to know a time. We don't need to know a place for it to all be the same. But it is so accurate just off the birth card. And my experience in applying the cards to people's lives and how they play it out have been pretty amazing, because each spread represents different qualities, the 13 cards, and each card has a story to tell about you and a particular area of your life. It's somewhat like an astrology chart in that there are planetary periods and and a card in there, but the combination, the position of the card tells a story about you, about your life. And every card, like I said, has a high and a low expression. That's why two people can have very different life paths, even though they have the same card and the same birth date. So when you know your 13 cards, what's so fun about it for me anyway, what made it so fun for me was I was able to identify with certain cards in my spread, maybe more than others. And the planetary ruling card, which could also be called somewhat of a personality card, is from the life spread. And that's where a lot of people place more emphasis on the gossamer rather than their shining light. And I find that to be true. But once people know it, it makes a big difference. So, some people identify with different cards through different times in their lives, but, everybody grows, right? Everybody evolves and have different periods where one thing is more identified than the other. And it's good to know for me and for my clients when we're acting out of a certain card, and we can watch it, we can learn about ourselves and other people, other people as well. So it's quite accurate, it's quite meaningful. And the life spread cards are, not only is there the direct, but there's also a vertical. I'm not going to get into all of that, but I will get into the different planetary cards. But before I get into that, does anyone have any questions on any of that so far, or comments? Are you following? Is this making sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Good. Okay, good. That's what I care about. So like I said, we have 13 cards that are ours that, we come in with basically, and they go along with the planets. There's the Mercury card, and the Mercury card has to do with our early life, our education, what we're dealing with mentally in the first 7 years of our life. And there's some underlying cards in there that we'll learn about that kind of lets us know what was going on when we were the first 7 years of our life. How you communicate, the status of your mind, right? The pros, the cons, the stability, the lack of stability. I have a client who's a Queen of Diamonds. And so his Mercury card is a 5 of Hearts. Fives like to move. Fives are rolling stones. And when he was a kid, his parents moved around. I think he said in his first 7 years, he went to like 5 different schools. He moved to Hawaii. He was all over the place. And it was fine for him because he also had a little underlying there of a 4 of Diamonds, which is really good for financial stability. So they were moving all over the place, but he was enjoying it. He had financial stability. Then let me just look at this, if I can remember his card, his chart. Yeah, so I'll just show you this. There he is. He's a Queen of Diamonds, and then here he had this 5 of Hearts. So they were moving around. Then during the next 7 years, he moved into a 3 of Clubs. That's called the Writer's card. And that was his Venus card. And I said, so you love to write, when you were a kid, when 7 to 14, you like to write. And he said, I used to do these little cartoons and stories about my friends. And I loved doing it. And, but he stopped, and, that was that. But he said that he still likes to, he likes to write every now and again. Then we moved on to his Venus card, which, so that's the Mercury card. I'm going to stop there. That's your Mercury card, what you're dealing with the first 7 years of your life and how you communicate. Okay. And the status of your mind, really, if it's positive or negative, right? The other thing with the Mercury card, if someone has again, it's the first 7 years of life. If someone has a face card as a Mercury card, a Jack, a Queen, a King, usually what happened for them is there was an individual who was a big focus of their attention during that time period of their life. For instance, so let's see if I can show you this. Here's an Ace of Diamonds, and their Mercury card is the Queen of Diamonds. So all Ace of Diamonds people, their mothers are very important to them. They had a really important relationship with their mom. And every Ace of Diamonds I've said that to is like, And what's so funny is when I tell a mom who has an Ace of Diamonds kid, I remember telling one client once, I said, yeah, you're really important. You're a big influence. You're a big influence in your daughter's life. And she was like, yes. Yes, that's what she wanted to be. That's what she wanted to be. So that's, that's where the focus of attention was during that time. If it's a jack, means something a little different really than a king or a queen. A jack is usually a younger person or someone who's playing a jack energy, and the jack energy can be quite immature. It can be a little bit illegal, but it can also be just fun, and it brings us up to a higher level, and we have a good time. Think of jack of all trades, master of none. Where they're fun and they're the king's son. They know they're going to inherit the kingdom, so they don't take much seriously. And they can also be jackasses. They can bend the rules. And I was talking to someone, and she had 3 brothers, and she had a jack during her Mercury period. And she was like, yeah, I have 3 brothers, she said. And 2 of them were fun and nice, and the other one he was always getting in trouble, and almost in jail a lot of the time. And that's where a lot of the focus went, when she was younger. So that can be someone playing that kind of role during that time. She had the jack of clubs, I think was her brother. And, he was the bad seed, right? That was the one, that the word that she used. So with this live spread, we look at the different connections. Then we have, then we have Venus, right? And, Venus is love, right? And think about it, from 7 to 14, that's usually when we have our first crush, right? In our little tween years. So that's when, we come into Venus. And our Jupiter and our Venus card are usually things where we do very well materially, right? There's good karma. Jupiter is the planet of expansion and bringing gifts, and Venus is love. And so things usually go, really well right there with our Jupiter and Venus. There's gifts, and it's usually something that our Jupiter and Venus card is something that we're good at. It comes easily to us. And it's, our birth card is the greatest gift of all, whatever card, we are born with on that day. But again, that can be expressed just like the Venus and the Jupiter can be expressed positively. It can be expressed negatively. We have a choice. And once we know the expression of our birth card, we really get to choose. So our Venus card or Jupiter card, we can count on those being a blessing in our life. Our Jupiter card is what we can do to make the most money. And that's in general in our life spread. And then every year we have a different Jupiter card for 52 days. And so that's where we can pay attention to where we want to focus our money making ideas during that time, especially if someone's, doing their own thing or self-employed. I find that it's quite helpful for careers for people too. If, to know what they have in Jupiter, someone who's working corporate, I'm like, okay, here's what you've got. I had a woman one year, and she had a King of Spades, which is the most powerful card in the deck, in Jupiter. And I said, this is the year they're going to ask you to ascend to the throne. They're going to ask you to do more, and it's going to feel like more than you can handle. But if you can handle it, you're going to be very richly rewarded. And because she knew that ahead of time, when they asked her to take over and start a whole new office for this corporation, she said yes. She said yes, and she went for it. And then they ended up giving her own actual, whole gig for it. And this is probably 5 years ago. And she's all the time now posting. And, I do her readings every year. She's, an old time client, but she's doing very well. And she says she knows she could have not taken that opportunity. She almost didn't want to, but I'm like, you got to do it, Gina. You got to go for it. You can do this, because the card was at play, right? I was not being a fortune teller. This is what's going on. If you do this, the sky's the limit. If you don't do it, you don't have to, but you might have some regrets. And I don't know if this will come up. Well, actually, I do know, because I have 90 years here. When will this come up again? So that's our Jupiter and our Venus. So Jupiter, it's a signpost. It's a signpost for us, what you can do to make the most money. I had another client who had a 9 of Hearts in Jupiter, and the 9 of Hearts is about giving. to the nines, just love to the nines. Think about hearts, think about nines. And I was, the best thing you can do is just give, give. And it turned out to be one of the most fruitful, one of the most fulfilling lives or years that person had. So again, it just depends. Now, Saturn is another story. Our Saturn card is something where we have karma, right? And it just depends on how we utilize it. Now, some cards do really well with their Saturn card. If the Six of Clubs has the Six of Clubs card, which my friend Oat is, the Six of Clubs has a King of Spades in Saturn. And so the Six of Clubs can handle difficulties pretty easily. Anything that gets thrown at them, they can pretty much handle it. The King of Diamonds, which is my card, has an Eight of Clubs in Saturn. Again, can handle difficulties pretty easily. And I remember before I knew what my cards were and something went down and I was so upset. And I was truly in tears. I was talking to my niece, who's my age. I'm like, and I'm crying. And she goes, oh, you always land on your feet. And now I do. She was right. But back then I just wanted to be a victim sad sack. But she was reading that eight of Clubs card. That was my Saturn card. Yeah, I do. I always land on my feet. So Saturn represents challenges, and it's all about, right, the Lord of Karma. Right? That's Saturn. And so our Saturn card is where we have to elevate in this lifetime. Right? It's all of the challenging cards, Pluto, Saturn, it's where we need to elevate. And but here's the beauty of it. Pluto and Saturn are both spiritual cards, right? It's where we have to deal with stuff that maybe we didn't want to deal with. It's a challenge. But it's helping us to grow. And we chose that because we did want to spiritually grow. That's why I believe we choose the day we're born. I'm pretty sure that that's not a really out there concept to many here. So Pluto is our lifetime challenge. And it's where we really do need to elevate. It's a karma card, so that's where we really need to bring it up. Okay, let's see, what else did I want to talk about? Again, the highest expression and the lowest expression is where we elevate it with our Pluto card, with our Saturn card. Venus has to do with the cards, with relationships, right? With love, but with things in the home and with artistic pursuits and, love. So Mercury, Venus, Mars. Mars is how we compete and how we get along with men, and legal matters is Mars. I remember years ago, someone wanted to sue me. I had a company and an employee wanted to sue me. And so unbeknownst to me, she snuck in at night with her key and she copied all of my paperwork, everything, all my financials, everything she made copies of. I had no idea. This is many years ago. I had hypnosis center. And so she copied everything and I didn't know any of this. And she was a Three of Spades. The Three of Spades never does well legally because of their Mars card. So a couple, maybe 6-8 weeks later, I get this big manila envelope in the mail. And I'm like, this is weird. It's from an attorney in San Francisco. I open it up and I read it. And there's all this paper. And it was a letter back to this person, but they sent it to me. These Three of Spades don't have good legal karma, saying we really don't feel like there's any case here, so we're not going to take it. And, thank you for your time, and here's all your paperwork back. Three of Spades. So when someone wants to do something legal, I'm like, okay, let's see what kind of cards you have. Now, the best card, if you want to do something legal, is the Queen of Hearts, because the Queen of Hearts has the King of Spades in Mars. And again, Mars is about competition. Mars is about legal things. So the Queen of Hearts, so the best attorneys, if you're ever getting an attorney, you want a Queen of Hearts or a Four of Clubs. Those attorneys, like, boom, no problem. But may we never need that information. May that just be something that's fun to have and we never need it. Let's see. Jupiter is where money will come easily to you, what you can do. Saturn, like I said, But here's the other thing about Saturn. Yes, it's karmic, but Saturn also has to do with kind of the ultimate, the nature of our career, right? Boy, this is a couple R's. I'm not great with R's. Our ideal career is usually our Saturn card, or Saturn usually ends up describing the kind of work that you're doing in your life. My Saturn card is the Jack of Spades. The Jack of Spades is the spiritual initiate. I like to initiate people into spiritual ideals, right? And I'm sorry, that's my Jupiter card. So that's what brings me joy. That's what brings me luck. That's what brings me expansion. My Saturn card is the 8 of clubs. So I can get very specific on how I like this done. Crazy eights, I can make you crazy. So that's Saturn. Uranus, our Uranus card has to do with friends. Our Uranus card, whatever our card is, those people can be our friends. Over and over and over, and I was talking to one client, and I was talking about his Uranus card, and he was like, you know what, that's a friend of mine that we've been friends, and then we become enemies, and then we become friends again, because Uranus, it comes from out of the blue. People who are married and their cards equal Uranus, again, this is something we learn in class, but their cards equal Uranus. I have had more than one couple, 2 at least, tell me that I have saved their marriage from the information. And one of them was my nephew and his wife, because they equal Uranus. And when you equal Uranus, you're both off doing your own thing, and then you come together and talk about it, and then you go off and do your own thing. And she had been raised that couples do everything together, and this was not happening here. Not to mention, my nephew was a 5 of clubs, and 5s love freedom, so good luck pinning that one down. But once she realized it, she let it go, and they'd both go do their fun stuff and come back together and talk about it. Another couple that I worked with, they equal Uranus, and they live in separate homes, and it works for them. When they live together, when they have separate homes, they get together, they have fun, they chat, they communicate, yay, 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 spend a couple nights together, and then they go off and do their own thing. Now, that doesn't work for me. That's not my relationship. I have a Venus relationship, and I have that by choice, because when I was single the last time, I said, I'm not getting involved in another relationship unless that card is Venus to me. And there's many cards that are Venus to me, but I just happened to, the relationship that I was in before, be with my Saturn card, my teacher. I don't want to learn. I want to have fun. I want to be lovey. I want to be goo-goo. I don't want my teacher as my partner. So some people do, and we get attracted, for different reasons. So for me, I knew I wanted Venus. So when someone wanted to fix me up with my now husband, I asked what his birth date was, and she didn't know. She found it, and she found it on Facebook, and she said, "Ooh, you want to see his picture?" And I said, "No, I don't want to see his picture. What's his birth date? If we're Venus, I'll entertain it. If we're not, I am not even entertaining this. Show me his birthday." I charted us. I'm like, yeah, I'll meet him because we're Venus. And it truly was, love at first sight, because that's Venus. That's Venus. Or sometimes it's some other stuff, but we'll talk about that in class. So that Uranus is friendships. It can also be, our Uranus card does the unexpected, and sometimes that can be upsetting. We expect one thing and we get another. So that's with Uranus. And then there's the Neptune, our Neptune card, and Neptune people. And Neptune affects us really strongly. When we're in a Neptune relationship, we usually stay a lot longer than we need to. Neptune's a really strong planet, and it can cause us to romanticize our relationship. And, we can go through a lot of stuff and we still want to stay there. Neptune is very strong glue for a relationship, and it keeps people together for a real long time. And maybe what isn't the best circumstance. I can think of a client that I had years ago, and they were Neptune. And when she met him, she called me and I said, "Oh, honey, if there's any way you can just maybe try and look at this without those rose-colored glasses." She couldn't. It was probably 5 years in, and, accounts drained, and just a whole lot of stuff went down in that one. But she couldn't. Now I had another client who met someone during her Uranus period, her 52-day Uranus period, and she was just smitten. And she would come to me for this a long time ago. She'd come to me for readings with her sister, and she was in the room. And I said to her sister, wait till after her birthday. She's going to wonder, like, what was I doing? She's going to wake up and think, ugh. And sure enough, it was like 2 days after her birthday, after she was out of Uranus, those rose-colored glasses just like fell off. They melted off her face, and she was like, what was I thinking? But it's not a bad thing, right? We come together to learn. We come together to learn. So and then there's the moon relationship. And our moon card, whoever is moon, we are their sun. And so we give direction to our moon card. And a lot of times when we are with someone who is our sun and we are their moon, we can give up direction in our life in favor of their direction. Now, if they're going somewhere that you want to go, that's fabulous. I have a client who's my moon card, and she has taken every class I've ever given. She's gone on every retreat I've ever done. She's a near professional athlete. Why she takes my yoga class? Well, I know why, because she is my moon. So she follows me. And I've told her, you can have a pass. You don't have to do it. No, I love it. I love it. Because she does like health. She does like this information. So that's what happens when we are with someone, that is our sun, and we are moon to them. So to learn the full meaning of all the cards, it takes a class or 2 or 3 or 4, but I feel like we've got a nice kind of foundation here, Any questions thus far?
How about tell the story of my birth card, because it really blew me away. Like, I'm Pat, and I'm Bridges.Academy, and what I just love what I'm doing, because I get to help all these people shine out there in the world under their own sun. It's a dream come true for me, and I've always been that person, the one, like, sort of in the background, behind the curtains, with the lights and all that. And then now tell them my birthday is June 24th, and that's the 6 of clubs.
And clubs are of the mind, clubs are of communication, but the 6 of clubs we call the John the Baptist card. And if you remember in the Bible, John the Baptist was not Jesus Christ. He came before Jesus Christ, and he cleared the way for Jesus and the information to be given. Now, this is not a Christian concept. It's just, the concept of the card. So Pat comes in, she's the 6 of clubs. She clears the way, she sets things up for people, and then they get to come in, right, and share their information and tell people what's going on. And with her King of Spades and Mercury, whatever goes down, she's able to handle it absolutely no problem, where the rest of us would be like, tearing our hair out. Okay, she's got it, no problem. And the 6 of clubs also is extremely intuitive. They're able to bring information in. And so not only is she helping clear the way for people to come in and shine, but she's bringing in information that's going to help them in that way as well. And she, entrusting that information, she knows how best to serve people. So yeah, that would be Pat's card, the 6 of clubs. There's also different cards, in different cycles that we go through. So knowing the cycles that we go through really help as well. So when Pat started Bridges.Academy, she was in a cycle of initiation and initiating something new and laying the foundation for other people to be able to ascend into what it is that they're ready to do. So it's quite beautiful, the way that it works. I'm a King of Diamonds, and diamonds are all about the senses, things that you can touch or see or feel, right? If it's sensory, it's diamond. And my Venus is a 4 of clubs, which is a solid mental foundation. So I love taking out their stuff and putting it in a nice solid foundation that people can understand and follow and get results in the physical from, because of diamonds, right? We want that diamond. So when I didn't realize that, until I realized that I was a king of diamonds, I operated more out of my personality card, which is a six of diamonds, which was still fun. But once I realized I was a king of diamonds, I'm like, okay, I got to step up. I've got to, I've got to ascend to the throne, put on what I tease my clients. I'm like, wear the crown, and go for it. Because for me, what that means is I am responsible for my community. That's how I interpret myself as a king of diamonds, that I am responsible for helping my community, and I'm responsible for helping them do well in the world, not only spiritually, but physically as well. And so that's where I take my card. Yeah.
Everybody has the chart, so that they can figure out what their birth card is, that with all the numbers on it.
Yeah. So it shows the date, like I am King of Hearts. That's what it says. So from there, I need to calculate the 13 cards.
So no, so for it's you sent them out the chart, the birthday chart, right, Pat?
Yeah.
Yeah, that will help you so that you can know what your card is and what other people's cards are as well. So hearts are people, right? Hearts are about people. Think about that. So yeah, and the King of Hearts is considered, where women are concerned, where family is concerned, the King of Hearts knows how to really care for his family. They say that the King of Hearts sometimes is, the most fabulous father and a good husband. Because you guys know, you know how to care for family. You know how to care for people. You're really, really good at it. Okay. And when I'm doing a session on someone, if a King of Hearts comes up, I'm like, ooh, you're probably going to meet someone. You're probably going to meet someone that you really like, because that's what the King of Hearts is all about, when it comes up in a reading. The King of Hearts, I personally love King of Hearts because they're, it's the card that is my moon. And so the other thing that I notice about King of Hearts, now, if you utilize your Mercury card, which is the King of Diamonds, right? I was talking about my moon, who is pretty much, she's hiking the Dolomite Mountains right now in Italy, having to wear harnesses. Okay. Not my thing, but her thing, because you guys could be really good at physical activity if you choose to. Again, she's working out of her Mercury card, the King of Diamonds. I know another King of Hearts who was, he was second in command of the Plumbers Union in San Francisco for years, all through my childhood. He was my across the street neighbor, Uncle Bob. And everyone loved Uncle Bob. He was the best dad on the block. He was the favorite dad on the block. He was the most kind dad on the block. And he was second in command at the Plumbers Union. He did not want to be the full-on boss. He was like the one who took care of everyone and let the boss do. Yes, yeah, look at that smile, right? Yeah. It's, you guys are so good at that. And when you know that, once you know that, you're able to live from what it is that is your joy, and what it is that you are very good at. So now it's interesting, we say that your Saturn card is a lot of times what you end up doing in life, and you have a Jack of Spades as your Saturn card. And the Jack of Spades is the spiritual initiate. When we look at the spiritual level, on the mundane level, the Jack of Spades initiates us into a higher realm of taking care of ourselves physically. So that's something that you can play around with. What's your Jupiter? Let me see. Mercury, Venus, Mars, of course, is a two of diamonds. You are great at negotiations, absolutely brilliant at negotiations, and you're able to make it a win-win. The two of diamonds is what it's I call it the Monty Hall card. Door number one, door number two. And it's always a win-win, and you're able to do that, and people know that you're always going to be fair. Because of course, I'm saying that you're working out of the high side of that card, right? Yeah. If you wanted to work out of the low side, you could be, the one who, you can work a deal, but it's not a win-win. I win.
I used to think that I'm being a Libra. That's why I always weigh which one is better. But you are saying same thing, two of diamonds. Okay.
Of
Interesting.
diamonds, exactly. Same thing. And the King of Hearts. You want to make sure that it's fair and equitable
Mhm.
because you care about people.
Yeah.
You know, that's big love. King of Hearts. Yeah, you care about your people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone else see the chart, want to know about their
Okay.
card? Yeah, Pamela, what are you?
Yeah. 5 of diamonds.
Another diamond.
5 of diamonds, a rolling stone gathers no moss. What matters to you, it can change, and that's fine. But what I love the most about 5 of diamonds is that you are able to meet people wherever they are.
Mhm.
I was getting coffee the other day with a friend. She's a 5. And I got there early and there was a line outside the door and I was sitting down. She was outside in line, talking to the person behind her, having this fabulous conversation with, you know, this one was probably 40 years younger than her. Didn't matter, right? She meets this woman right where she is and they just had this grand old time. You guys are also really good promoters. You're good at promoting people and things that matter, right? You're 5 of diamonds, people and things that matter to you. And you're great at it because you really, you know, you really do care. Also, the thing to know about diamonds is diamonds are gutsy, right? You think about the cards all have to do, excuse me, with a certain, with the body, you know, with a place on the body. And so the 5 of diamonds, if you think about it, it has to do with the physical gut. It looks like the guts. When we do class, I have an actual chart of all of this. What I say for the 5 of diamonds basically is change is the only constant. And so what we value changes. The other thing to remember is that if you think about a treasure map, the 5, if you look at the card, it looks like an X. Okay, think about that. Okay, and X marks the spot of a treasure, right? So with a 5, I'm always like, you know what? Enjoy this. 5s love freedom. Let your freak flag fly. It's with a 5, it's more about expression than accomplishment. And that, you know, that makes, so movement is a really good way to channel the energy of, you know, of a 5. And there is so much joy that can just spring up with that. So there's treasure in change for a 5, and basically expression more than accomplishment. Move it, right? Let this, and here's the thing with the 5, the energy is going to be expressed. It will be. And it's okay that the values shift. You know, people say, oh, you're changing your mind again, Pamela. No, 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 no. Change is the only constant. And 5s know that. They really know that. So when values shift, we don't, you know, we call it evolution, you know, and you 5s are able to let go of that safe harbor and explore, right? You know, things are changing, but this is the number of human beings. And so you are the seeker of new experiences. So yeah, enjoy the ride. Enjoy the ride. And that's for us, you know, when a 5 is up for me, I'll say to my husband, this is what I'm planning on, but it might change. It might change. And that's, you know, that's the way we roll with a 5. Yeah. It's, you know, the even numbers are more even keeled, whereas the odd numbers are a little odd. So I love the oddies. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else want to give me their birthday? Yeah, Mia. Maya, Mia.
May.
May.
Yeah.
Hi,
So I just want to make sure I know how it works, right? So on the top you have the months, and so I just find my month and my birthday. Is that what it is? And where it meets, that's my card.
Yes.
Okay. It looks like mine is an ace of spades. Is that April 7?
Ace of spades. Let me take a quick look just to make sure. Yes, you are an ace of spades.
What does that mean?
So remember I told you when I saw that lady and she and she had my card wrong. She thought it was an ace of spades. And the ace of spades is remember I talked about how that's the card of the magi, right? And the ace of spades in the olden days, and if you ever watch movies with the mafia, when they're going to kill someone, they leave an ace of spades for them to find it. And so it's one of the death cards. Now, it doesn't mean an actual death. What happens with the ace of spades is it's a letting go. It's a death and a birth. And so I have a friend right now who is transitioning, and she's dying, and her friend who is taking care of her and hanging with her and being with her is an ace of spades. Of course she is, because she's used to it and she's okay with it, right? So but what ace of spades really care about is esoteric. You love the esoteric, you love the metaphysical. This is what really works for you. And know with an ace of spades that things will end, but they will also come up again. So you want your dreaming and your doing to be in alignment with an ace of spades. If not, there could be some trepidation, right? If you turn an ace of spades upside down, it's an acorn, right? And so the acorn is going to dream itself into an oak. So when an ace of spades shows up, this is the cards where I want you to remember that you could dream yourself into the oak. You want your dreaming and your doing to be in alignment with an ace of spades, and there will be a shift. And if we don't shift, we get, there might be fear. There might be some fear and trepidation with this, but you're going to move from where you were to who you are becoming. Ace of spades usually also may relationship stuff sometimes can be an issue for the ace of spades. It's love isn't always the easiest thing for them. Let me see what your Venus card is. I can't remember why, but I know that from working with ace of spades.
How do we align the planets to the card? I think.
Say it again, honey.
How do we align the cards with the planet? Is it with a birth chart?
This is with the birth chart. Yeah, and the solar spread, the grand solar spread. Yeah.
And the houses?
The houses we don't do in this. It's not houses. But of course you would know that, you'd be interested, because the ace of spades is the card of esoteric secrets. It's a card of secrets and esoteric knowledge. So a lot of times when an ace of spades is in play, and you as an ace of spades, the portal between heaven and earth is open. So we have these aha moments. So when I have an ace of spades, I really encourage them to play with the future that's outside the box, and to be inspired, and to really be open to your wisdom, and to know that if you choose to move from who you were to who you were becoming, it will always work for you. You will ace it. You will ace it. And ace of spades never goes wrong with studying metaphysics and esoteric knowledge. You were born to it.
So you were saying something about relationships and the planet?
Yeah, no, the ace of spades, I was just wanting to look where your Venus was. I know the ace of spades that I've worked with, I'm trying to find your card here on my chart. You guys usually have a little bit Mercury, Venus. You usually have a little bit of a hard time in relationships. It's not always the easiest thing for you, because it's not because of your Venus card. It's because you are the card of secrets. And so you hold things very close to your vest. You don't always share. You don't always speak what it is that's going on. And when I have couples who come, if one's an ace of spades, and I'll say that, the other part of the couple will say, yeah, she doesn't. I know she's got stuff to say. I know she's thinking things, but she doesn't speak it. So one of the learnings is that it's safe to speak up. It's safe to say what's on your mind as an ace of spades. And you'll be amazed at the little sprouts that are going to grow from you doing that. Yeah. Nothing wrong with sharing your truth. Ace of spades. Yeah. And you'll get all this great esoteric knowledge and download, and then you'll be able to share that because that's really why you're here.
I just have a quick question. So how do I connect this card with the planets? That's where I'm a little.
So you as an ace of spades, let me just look, and we'll learn this in the class. This is one of the things that we do. I got to find you again here. I know exactly where my card is on the chart, but I got to find you. Oh, here you are. Okay. So you're, oh yeah, you're at Mercury and Neptune. Okay.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Speak up, girl. Start speaking up. Don't be shy. Anyone else? Carolyn?
Yeah, well, you and I
I
were,
see someone has their hand raised, and
Oh.
so I'll do Carolyn, and then we'll do you, Gala. Okay. All right, Carolyn. Hi.
well, when you and I were talking, we found out that I'm the same as you.
Oh, that's right. You're a king of diamonds.
Yes.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Okay. Yeah. So we went into that. We went, yeah. So we care about our people. We care about the physical, right? And we're a little tough sometimes, but always in a lovely way. And we love learning. We love learning. That's our Venus card. And I know, for me being a king of diamonds, for me to be attracted to someone, they have to be smart.
Yeah.
Because we have a 4 of clubs in Venus. So
Oh, okay.
that's, yeah. It's all about our Venus card. Yeah. All right, good. So you have that. Good. Do you mind if I move on then? Or you?
Oh, no, go ahead.
We covered that. That was fun. I remember that now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gala, Heidi? Hi.
Heidi, her name is. Maybe she could put it in the chat if Heidi isn't able to get her camera to work.
Or her microphone.
Yeah. Well,
Maybe she's just saying hi.
yeah, maybe.
So
I'm not.
I have a
saying
question,
anything.
Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Are you going to talk about what is the class and all those details now, or?
So I can. The class is going in depth into how to read the cards based on the chart. And we're not only going to be reading our birth cards, we're going to learn how to read cards for other people, how we connect with other people, and then what our cards are, how it shifts every year. So what your cards are for the year. We'll also talk about the different 7-year periods and what happens during those periods. The other thing that we're going to talk about are karma cards, which I didn't even get into today, but that's a gift that we came in with from a past life, and also a little bit of a backpack or a struggle that we came in with from a past life, and they affect us quite deeply. So we'll talk about that as well, and how to work with that to serve us, to serve our highest good, to serve our greatest joy. So that's the way that we do it. And we work with the book, The Secret Symbols of the Ancients, and with this chart. And with this chart, that's all I have, this laminated. And when I have a client, all I have is that chart, and that's all I need.
think I did it.
So you'll be going to share that chart?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Everyone gets a chart.
that's
Everyone
it.
gets everything. It's all included. Pat sends you all of that, and we go through it and get pretty specific.
There's
And we
several charts and
Yeah.
handouts. It's very, very comprehensive. Mind blowing, actually.
I have that 4 of clubs in Venus, so I love information and I love making it succinct. So it's quite succinct. I hope you join us. I do hope you join us, because you were tracking the whole time, and everyone was pretty much just right there. This is fun. It's interesting on Facebook. You can't always you can feel it even though you can't feel it, right? You get it when it congeals. So yeah, this has been fun. Heidi, you can hi Heidi, ask away.
Hi, I think it's working now.
It is.
Yes. Well, I'm very confused because we had the time wrong, but I do know I'm October 2nd, which is the 7 of diamonds.
Oh, spiritual money card. So, sevens, I said earlier, I don't know if you were here, but I said no one's ever born a 7 or a 9 because they want it easy.
Because they want it easy.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, but the 7 of what's so beautiful. Remember, we also say lucky number 7, don't we? You've heard
Yes.
that, right? Yes. So 7 of diamonds, I call the lucky money card, in that the more grateful a 7 of diamonds is, the more they will receive, the more will come to them. And seven's an interesting one because it is so spiritual. And once a 7 of diamonds gets that it's all about gratitude, really, they do very well in life, in finances, because it's a diamond. I'm not, this is why I'm talking the what I call the mundane with a diamond, but there's also the spiritual aspect of the 7 of diamonds, which is such a beautiful energy for gratitude, for helping people open up, right? Every 7 is spiritual, every 9 is universal. But if you think about a 7 of diamonds, it sits right smack in the middle of the suit, right? You go from ace to king, and in the middle is the 7. So with a 7, it can swing from everything's possible to nothing's possible. So the 7 needs to figure out where they want to hold out, because where it is they really want to hold it, because the 7 of diamonds holds the energy of connecting all physical energy. Lucky number 7, right? This is called the millionaire's card. And it is because it's in the suit of money and things that are valued. So this is the helper of spiritual money. And what I always tell my 7 of diamonds is, what we appreciate appreciates. So let go of the fear and appreciate, and with this, we get to choose, and so we notice which view of life, which view of circumstances serves you best, and connect with that. And what I say with that is, you want to watch a tendency to tip toward the negative, because that's just the opposite of luck. I used to tell my 7s to say the affirmation, money and wonderful things come to me from sources unexpectedly and often. Source is my source. And that's where I also tell 7s to call everything that happens to them lucky and good. Because if you think about a 7, I don't have a card right here, but there's 3 on one side, 3 on the other, and then 1 in the middle. And the 1 in the middle isn't balanced. It's down a little bit or up a little bit, depending upon how you're holding the card. So as a 7 of diamonds, you really do get to choose what, whether it's up or down. 7 of diamonds are the people that I meet that have actually, Heidi, have, made millions and lost millions more than once. It's, so this is why we call everything good. We call everything good, and know that what we appreciate appreciates, and so it will.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. My friend is here, and we didn't sign her up, which I guess we should have.
I don't shit on yourself. What's your friend's birthday?
May 8th. Her name's Liza.
Hi, Liza. Let's see.
Hi,
May 8th. Let's see.
Jack of diamonds.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. You are a great promoter. You are a great promoter. If you like it, you tell people about it. You're also really good at sales, and you are wonderful at creating value. I have a client who's a Jack of diamonds, and she can go to the beach and get a thing of wood, and what's it called, driftwood, and she can bring that driftwood home, and oh my God, she makes something out of it, and then she brings it to the farmer's market, and everyone wants to buy it because she knows how to create value in the world. She's very artistic, just really good at this, and like I said, a really good promoter. So if a Jack of diamonds feels good about what you do and promotes what you do, oh, it's wonderful. You guys I feel like you Jacks create beauty as well. I feel like you are really good at creating beauty. Sometimes, you know, there can be some secretive kind of isolating energy. But man, that authentic creativity and this personal expression, whoo, you guys are great at it. So when a Jack is in play, I encourage people to just, you know, really explore their creative self-expression, right? And you guys are really good at making money through self-expression. Usually music, you guys usually like music. And it's a beautiful influence for, you know, facilitating or counseling, anything that's artistic. Some of my, you know, sharing your dreams and home and family sometimes will take a little bit of precedence if you have this space to be supported there. But be free, you know, when a Jack of Diamonds comes up and Jack of Diamonds people, I'm like, be free in your creative expression. Think outside the box, do what makes you happy, explore the unknown. This is another one. The Jack of Diamonds is the card of the 4th of July, right? So it's a freedom. It's a card of the United States. Freedom to be, freedom to explore, individual freedom. Don't fence me in. There you have it.
Did you say Jacks get in trouble though?
Jacks can get in trouble. Oh yeah, you guys, because you know, the king's my daddy. I don't have to follow the rules. I can even sell some access to him if I want. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. But again, we know this and we get to a certain point in life, you know, how's that working for you? And then we don't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
But
thank you.
yeah. Yeah. But Jacks, and here's the deal, you guys, Jacks are fun, right? You're not over at Heidi's house because you're a bummer.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah. Jacks are a lot of fun. And they're initiates. So a Jack of Diamonds initiates into valuing things anew, having new, you know, value toward things that maybe we didn't even realize we valued before in a really beautiful way. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay. I'm going to call it. I'm going to call it here at 6:44. I went a little over, but I so appreciate your time and your attention and your questions and your, you know, really your attention being here. And I do hope that you take the class. It'll be fun. It'll be informative, and you're going to get information and skills that are going to assist you. You definitely will get value out of what the 52 helpers have to offer. Yeah.
I'll
And-
send everybody a link so they can have a look at that. And I'll also include a link to your Facebook page. So anybody that's on Facebook, Elizabeth posts like the energetic weather forecast of the day. And it's so helpful. It just reminds me, you know, of what to keep my head up or to duck or, yeah, it's very, very good. It's very
Yeah, you
good.
can
Very
play your
useful.
cards. Play your cards
Play your
right.
cards right.
Yeah.
So one quick question. When I went to your website, it says, are you referred by a 52 helpers practitioner? So now Elizabeth is recommending me to join, so I can go with that. Just
By the time you're done with class, you'll know what you're doing. You'll be able to do that as well. And you'll be, you know, very interesting too. It's good in negotiations. You know who you're working with. Seriously. And you know what the energy of the day is. There's certain days, like I knew I wanted to get married on a 2 of Hearts day, right? There's not a lot of days that are 2 of Hearts. I knew what I wanted to do. You'll be able to utilize that for yourself as well as your beloveds. And I know you have a lot of beloveds because you are the king of love. All right. Thanks, Pat. If you'd send all that out, that'd be great.
Yeah, well,
Appreciate
probably first thing tomorrow because it's getting like supper time is
Yeah.
overdue here at my
Yeah.
house.
Okay. Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. And I hope to see you all on Tuesday for class.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you very much.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.